Hello YouTube, Tech Shaman here, and I'm back with an outstanding video tutorial. Today I'm going to be explaining to you 3 methods that you can use to create beautiful glitch art to astound and amaze. Before I get into the 3 methods that you can use to make your own glitch art, I wanted to talk about where I usually find my source images for all the glitch art that I make. And normally I use Pixabay. The reason why I recommend Pixabay is simply because all the photos on Pixabay are free for non-commercial and commercial use. So if I get my source images from here, I don't have to worry about any copyright issues, and I don't have to feel guilty for stealing anyone else's artwork because the people who take those photos upload them to Pixabay for others to use. Now, as you can see, Pixabay has a variety of different images that you can choose from. You can select by category, size, you can search for certain colors. There are all sorts of different things you can use. Play around with it, figure it out. I already found a photo that I'm going to use for the examples in this video, and that is this flower right here. Now when you go to download an image from Pixabay, you can either sign up and make an account. It's free. That will give you access to the full resolution version of the photo. If you do not make an account, you are limited to lower resolution versions, and they make you perform a reCAPTCHA to prove that you're not a robot so you can download it. Once you do that, it's as simple as that. You can download the image and use it as the source for your glitch art. Okay, the first method for creating glitch art that I want to talk about is using software or apps that's specifically designed for making glitch art. And the first one that I'm going to show off is called Glitch Lab. I know it's available on iOS. I believe it's also available for Android. So when you first open up Glitch Lab, it's going to prompt you whether or not you want to take a photo or use one from your camera roll. After you select, it's going to run you through a quick tutorial that explains how to use it. After that, I suggest that you go into the settings by clicking this icon on the far right, scrolling all the way over to the right and clicking this menu. And what I recommend for you to do is to turn off the sound and the music because it's very annoying. And at this time, if you don't want the tutorial to pop up every time you open the app, go ahead and turn that off also. Now, the way that this app works is essentially with the most basic tool, which is just paint. You hold your finger down on the screen and it will start causing the image to glitch. And as you can see, you can create some pretty cool effects with this. You can also click this arrow up here in the upper left hand corner to undo the last thing that you've done. This app has a lot of different features that help you make some really cool glitched images. You can rotate the image. You can use these various tools that add different effects that are sort of like filters. You can work with layers and insert different photos in this, which you then combine together to create one final piece of art. Overall, I think this app is pretty cool. It's very easy to use. You can make some really cool things with it. But it doesn't have the feel of a professional artistic tool. It's more like a toy. And with that being the case, it's something to play around with, but it's not what I use to create my glitch art images. If you do create something that you want to keep, when you're finished, you just click the save icon down here and you can decide how you want to share or save your photo. One of the things that I found with Glitch Lab that is not intuitive is how to open up a new project. And the way that you do that is that you click on the rectangle with the X in the upper right corner right here, and either take or load a new photo. So that's Glitch Lab for you. If you like what you see, go ahead and download that, play around with it, and create some cool glitch art. The next piece of software that I want to talk about is actually a web app. It's called Photomosh, and all you do is go to photomosh.com. You can load up your image, and then you can start trying out these different effects on it and play around with the parameters until you get something that you're pleased with. I'm not going to go through all these effects. You can just experiment with them until you get what you want. One of the things that I like about Photomosh is, as you can see with this effect, is that some of these are actually animated. And if you want, you can come over here and change the output format, and you can record animated content from your creation here. That's a little bit different than the other methods I'm going to show you. Another cool thing about Photomosh is that you can click this button down here that says Mosh, and it will just generate different effects. You can keep clicking it until you find something that looks cool and you really don't have to do anything. So like, I kind of like this. I can record a little animation of that and then save it. Another great thing about Photomosh is that it's very easy to start a new project. All you have to do is refresh the page, and it will bring you back to the home page where you can either load a photo or use the webcam, as it says here. For method number 2 for creating glitch art, we're really going to get down into the nitty-gritty now. So what you got to understand about glitch art is that it originated from people just noticing that corrupted files could look cool or even beautiful. So real glitch art is created by corruption in the underlying data. Those other apps that I showed you technically are not really manipulating the data in a way that corrupts it and causes a glitch. Method number 2 is the first method I'm going to show you that is actually mucking up the underlying data, which is what causes the images to appear glitched or corrupted. Now, for this method, we can't use JPEG images. The image that I downloaded was in a JPEG format, but it's compressed, and it just won't work for what I'm going to do to it. So the first step that I'm going to do is I have GIMP opened up, and I'm just going to use GIMP to export the photo in a Windows bitmap format, which is uncompressed and will allow us to manipulate the data in ways that we can't do with the JPEG image. So I'm just going to go to File, Export As. I am going to select Windows bitmap image and export this. Alright, the next step in this process is probably going to surprise people who don't know of this, but that is to open up Audacity. Audacity is a free audio editing program. Okay, now that I have Audacity open, the next step is to import that image file as raw data. This step is very important. If you do this incorrectly, it is not going to work, and you're not going to have a cool looking photo when you get done. So you go to File, Import, Raw Data. Select that bitmap image that I just created. The encoding you want to set to ULAW. I don't know what that means, but that's what you want. I switched this to mono. I don't need 2 channels for this, and I'm going to import that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use audio effects in Audacity to manipulate this data. Then we're going to export it at the extension .bmp so that it's interpreted as a bitmap image, and we're going to open it up in a photo viewer and check it out and see what happens. Now, when you do this, some portion of this data is going to be a header, and I think there's footer information in the file as well. So we want to try to avoid manipulating that. So I'm actually going to select only a portion of this file. And you can just experiment with this if it comes out wrong and it gets corrupted. So I'm going to select from here to here. What I want to do is start using some of these effects on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is reverb. That seems to be one that's really cool. For this tutorial, I'm not even going to change any of the settings, but you can play around with these and see what happens. I'm also going to select a portion in here and apply an echo effect to it. Alright, so now I've manipulated this raw data, and what you want to do is export this, and this part, just like the importing of the data, is very important. So what you want to do is go to File, Export, Export Audio. We want the header to be raw, encoding, ULAW, this set to other uncompressed files. These settings were like this because I've already been doing this, but when you create yours for the first time, you'll have to change these. Make sure that they match what I have here. I would change the name of this. I'm just going to add a 1. This is the first iteration. And I want to change the extension to .bmp. And save. It's going to warn you that you're exporting it with a weird file extension. Yes, I want to do that. Don't care about any of this. Okay, so now what you want to do is open up your file in your photo viewer and see what it looks like. And if you did it right, you'll have something that looks sort of like this. Now, the different effects that you apply in Audacity can change what happens to the finished product. So normally when creating glitch art, what I do is I create different iterations of the photo. I'll undo and redo or change the selected area until I get something that I think really embodies the effect that I'm going for. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm not going to mess with this anymore because I just wanted to show it to you. But once you know how to import and export the data into Audacity, you can try out different effects to your heart's content until you create the awesome glitch art effect that you're looking for. Alright, method number 1 is arguably the purest form of glitch art creation. What we're going to be doing is manually editing the underlying data that makes up these photos. Now for this, I'm going to be using a tool called Hex Editor. To be honest, the Hex Editor that you use is not really important. I just found this one in the Ubuntu Snap Store and figured I'd try it out. I've also used a tool called WinHex, and that works very well if you're working from a Windows machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up that bitmap image that we created in the Hex Editor, and then we're just going to make changes to the data and see what happens, and keep doing that until we get a glitched image that we like. Now, this is by far the most tedious method for creating glitch art, but this method is the closest thing to creating a natural corrupted file or a glitch, because we are actually going in and manually changing that data. So what I'm going to do is I got GNOME Hex Editor here. I'm going to open up that bitmap image that I created earlier, which I will note that you can use this method with JPEG images, and you can experiment with other image formats as well, but I find that the uncompressed files are much easier to work with without corrupting them into a form that is unreadable by the image viewer. And once you corrupt the image beyond readability, that kind of defeats the purpose of trying to create art out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and change the view to words. And this is fairly simple and straightforward. We're just going to do things to the data. And the more data that we manipulate at one time, the more of a chance that we have to completely corrupt the image. So start off small. Once you get an idea of what you can and can't do without completely ruining the image, you can be bolder. I'm going to scroll down a little bit because just like when I had this open in Audacity, there is header information. I want to avoid manipulating that. And I'm just going to start off by deleting a couple lines of data from this. Alright, so once we've modified it, all you want to do is go to File, Save As, and I prefer to change the name of the file to something with an iteration number at the end so I can slowly make changes over time and revert if something goes wrong. I've already been screwing around with this, so I'm just going to overwrite this file that I had created. Then what you want to do is go ahead and open up that file in an image viewer and see what it looks like. So as we can see here, deleting those two lines completely changed the color profile of this image. So I'm going to do some more and just show you a couple other things we can do. In addition to deleting data, another thing that I like to do is copy data and paste it into other areas of the photo. So let's just copy that. Let's paste it in. Let's do that in a couple different spots. Let's scroll down a ways and I will paste that in again. You can also use the keyboard shortcuts. I'm just doing it this way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and save it as. I'm going to change that to a 2. So I know that's the second iteration of the photo. And let's see if anything changed. So we see we kind of get these fractures in the image. Like so. And we have one down here as well, and at the bottom we can see that the color profile was unaffected. I mean, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what is going to happen when we manipulate this data in here. I'm going to try something a lot bolder, and I'm going to take a pretty big chunk of data here and try to copy and paste that into another portion of the photo and see if I can get that to work. Scroll down. We'll just insert that in right here. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. That is not the data that I copied. Alright, let's try this again. Not sure why it's doing that. I haven't really used this Hex Editor before, and it has some weird quirks I've noticed. Copy that. Okay, there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as iteration 3, and I'll go ahead and hopefully the results are not a corrupted image. Oh wow, so yeah, there we go. So it looks like we have the original color profile back for this portion of the image, but we can see it's sort of fractured into these different cool looking rectangles. So anyway, that is the basic process of how to glitch a photo with a Hex Editor. I'll go ahead and do one more for you. I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to delete a pretty sizable portion of data and save that as iteration number 4, and we'll see how it works out. Alright, pretty cool. So that's it for this tutorial. This is how you create glitch art. I hope this information will help you in all your glitch art endeavors. If you like watching content like this and you want to see more in the future, please like and subscribe to my videos. Thank you and good luck in your glitch art journey.